All right, we are now live with our first episode of Tank Talk. I am James Starr, aka Relics. With me today is, first of all, the commander of Forge and captain of Fulcrum Gaming, Nagatron, with an awkward smirk and a nice gun point. And we also have our professional Russian and also a member of Fulcrum Gaming and all-round know-it-all and usually a jerk Soviet. So
What up,
hello, how's it going, guys? Right?
guys?
Hello.
How's it going?
Hello is like everyone's
It's going
distracted
great.
by pictures that we were looking at like a second ago.
I'm trying to get the stream up.
Oh, okay, okay. Technical issues. So we're looking to do this as a weekly thing where basically we're going to talk about different topics from World of Tanks. We'll cover stuff like tournaments, patches, clan wars if anything's going on big with that. We're also going to take a look at some of the developer blogs for like Overlord, maybe some of the posts from like Muggsy and stuff that cover things, and just give us kind of our opinion on things that are going on and. Hopefully, you guys will enjoy some of the at least the information that we can share and our thoughts on everything. So yeah, it should be good. We'll also be looking at having some of the wargaming people on eventually as guests if I can con them into it, like Lord Farquaad or General Direction, and maybe see if we can squeeze some questions out of them. So um, let's go ahead and just dive right into it. I want to start out with talking a little bit about tournaments. Um, First of all, we had South by Southwest a couple weeks ago where our team faced off against Simp, and it was pretty fun. Obviously, it kind of went back and forth in the very beginning. They were kicking our butts, and then we had started to pick back up. But I mostly just wanted to talk about like the overall idea of these exhibition matches and like what you thought of it all. Why don't you start out, Nagadron, David?
Oh man, that's kind of a general question.
It is very
Um,
general.
obviously, I like it. I mean, it's a lot of fun playing live. It's a totally different dynamic. It's a lot harder, but it's also a whole lot more fun.
Yeah, you think they're gonna keep having a lot more of these? I mean, obviously that was for IPL, which for those of you that don't know, IPL is kind of on the rocks right now. We're not sure what's gonna happen with them. Do you think we're gonna start seeing a lot more live events like this, exhibitions? We had E3 last year. It feels like it's kind of picking up. What do you think?
I think that's definitely their goal for the year. I mean, I know they're putting a whole lot of money and focusing on esports. So I think it's pretty darn important that they continue with the live events because online esports isn't quite the same.
Yeah. What was your thoughts, Soviet?
I think it was a great show for everybody who was there. It showcased the game very well. It did also show things that the game needs to improve in terms of casting, in terms of the way it was produced. But definitely, I think a great step and a step that will probably will continue to develop, and we'll see that type of event and events that are already being announced in the future. One thing was it was also a tremendous honor, I think, for us, all of us, to be invited to something like this, and I think it went well for us. So
Yeah. Now, as our professional Russian, obviously you follow a lot of the European and Russian scenes. What was like their feedback on like the stream and everything? Did they like what they saw from that?
it was interesting. So the main guys that do a lot of streaming for Russia are Burka and Tafa. They're now working for Wargaming League, and they're going to be doing the streams for that. So I'm excited about seeing them do that. But they also commented. They had positive reviews of how it was produced and commented by IGN and MacG. So, of course, some criticism. The free cam, the production, the shots of action were missing. A lot of stuff was happening off the camera, so that excitement on the stream might have been missing. Of course, it was very tense for us playing there, but overall, they were interested also in the encounter, in the encounter battle and the encounter format. They were looking for feedback as to how it went. Asked me a couple of questions on that. So very, very interesting for them. We'll see if this format will keep having its place in World of Tanks esports.
Yeah. So jumping into that, I mean, the main format for all the pro scene right now is 7v7, 42 points on standard mode. This was on encounter mode for that for the straight 15 matches. What were your kind of thoughts on the encounter mode versus standard mode? Like, how well did it go? What do you think, David?
I think encounter mode's better, bar none. I mean, you remove all the camping, and then you have those. You also remove those weird situations where it's like you had a 5-on-5 with the tier eights, you win, but they have two T1s on cap and you lose. And it's like I don't think those two T1s are going to hold the base for long. But fortunately, you don't have that in encounter, so I really like that better.
Yeah, what was your thoughts of it?
I definitely liked how the action was more fast-paced in general. The T1s, like David mentioned, very interesting dynamic play out of them in comparison to more passive play on the standard battle. The issue I see, though, however, is a lot of maps are not made for it. And some maps require certain balancing in the future to make the encounter actually uh, somewhat fair because as you saw, like for example, a good example in my opinion is Himmelsdorf. We would still have to push the action from the north kind of all the time, not south was kind of had a somewhat a disadvantage in that. So certain maps I think require rebalancing for that mode, and if that happens, if maps are actually built around the encounter mode in mind, with encounter mode in mind, it will grow and it will be even more exciting than standard battles.
Yeah, I'd really like to see like a set group of maps that are based on encounter mode first of all, and that are sized appropriately for tournaments. And I think that would go a long way to making the tournament format really good. I know from my perspective, driving the T1s during all those battles, it was a lot more fun being a T1 in an encounter mode versus a standard mode. Because as soon as the combat starts with you guys, like you're in your tanks and you're all fighting over there, and I'm just sit over here spotting for a while. But as soon as the combat starts, I can just go in there, get in there, and either stand in front of other tanks and try to block their shots or make them miss them. Or just basically be a nuisance. And it's a lot more fun from the perspective of a T1 driver, and probably from the perspective of watching the T1s kind of get into the mix. And it's like, oh, he took that shot, or he just died to the shot, but that saved this tank, and then he kills the other one, and oh, that now they won. It's such like a better dynamic with it going that way. So
You saw a lot more T1s getting involved in the tier 8 battles too.
hmm
I don't think there was a single one of those battles where I didn't have Moadib driving his T1 right behind me when I was in the 5100 and shoot me the whole time.
yep. And they can still do damage. I mean, we've seen a lot of times 200 to 300 damage from the T1s just following the 5100s around when they don't have anything else to worry about. So it's definitely a lot more interesting, and I hope that we'll see more use out of it once we get a more balanced set of maps that work a little bit better with it. So yeah. All right, let's go ahead and go to our next little topic here, which starts today. We have the GeForce International World Tanks Tournament, which is kind of similar to the WCG, where we have this is done by specifically GeForce without Wargaming being involved at all. So they opened registration today on their website. I'll try to post a link somewhere. I didn't really have one ready, but we'll get something in the video or something later on for it. And it's going to be the same pro format, so we're looking at 7v7, 42 points. The eventual international tournament out of it is a $100,000 prize pool. I believe it was $40,000 for first, $30,000 for second, and then it goes on down. And then another thing where I was reading that's very interesting with it is the regional finals. So for like just the North American side, I believe it's like 3,000 for first coming out of your region, all the way down to like the first 5 spots, down to like $1,000 for that team. So there's a lot of cash on the line here for teams, and I mean the first 5 spots, that's a lot of potential for good teams that are coming up to make at least a little bit of money on it. And I think that's going to draw a lot of interest to this. What do you think about the tournament so far? Like the information we've gotten. We'll start with you, David. I suppose I should prompt like who's going to talk, as everybody just like who's he talking to?
I mean, it's pretty standard tournament format, but I think who's holding it and where they're trying to go with it and that thing, I think that's really promising, really cool. I'm obviously happy that you and I get to cast it.
Yeah.
But I think the whole international thing, and then just having a tournament run by GeForce is a really big thing for the game in general. NVIDIA is a huge company, right? One of two graphics cards makers, really,
Hmm.
unless you start considering other ones, the little small ones. But uh, it's certainly a step up and certainly a step in the direction of a more professional esports scene.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously with Nvidia, we have. I mean, they're already paired with. I believe StarCraft is going to be at the tournament as well. I can't remember what else there was. But I mean, that's a lot of potential for these professional teams to get. Look at like sponsors and stuff like World Tank's actually growing into a real professional esports with all this visibility. What do you think, Soviet?
I think this is a great first tournament that is going to see prizes in cash, and a lot of these newer teams are going to be attracted to it. It's definitely going to be, it's from what I understand, it's going to be happening a lot sooner than what we're going to see, the finals of the Wargaming League. So that's going to be exciting for newer teams to go into this, have that incentive of the cash prize, because once you put money on the line, it's a completely totally different game. It's not gold that you're worried about. It's not some kind of record or anything. It's money. It's something that's tangible, and it's something that's definitely going to go a long way in terms of an incentive. So very excited to see what happens on North America, whether teams are going to form and be serious about this, and whether it's going to be a catalyst for future tournaments and sponsors to go into this game.
Yeah. So good stuff. Really looking forward to it. You can go to GeForce.com and they have links through it for their tournament on their news page. Like I said, I'll drop something there later. Registration again started today, so go register your teams. Get some competition in there. It's good stuff. We'll go ahead and jump over to what you were just talking about with the Wargaming League, which we were talking with Captain Judo earlier, and so the actual league, since we're already out of the qualifiers, we have our majors and we have our minors, and I believe starting next week, next Friday will be the first part of the actual league starting. Um, so I'm really looking forward to that. I love the 7v7 format, so we should have some good stuff on that. The main thing I actually wanted to talk about with that is this. We don't have a lot of information yet on the North American side for like what prizes are going to be and everything. So I don't think really everybody's all that excited about it at all yet. It's just like, oh, it's another format like the challenge or the skirmish, and it's just going to be frequent. Like no one really knows much about this because there's no information out there. So I was looking on the Wargaming League website that they have for Russia, because they've already got all that set up over there and figured out. They already have like their set esports federations that are taking care of everything. And this is a quote from their website that talks about the prize pooling for the actual Russian section here. So the total prize fund for Wargaming.net League RU will be more than $400,000 4,000 US dollars, 400,000 US dollars. At the end of each season, the top 8 teams from the Golden League, which is essentially our major league, meet in offline finals where they will be awarded a $100,000 prize pool. 50,000 will go to the winners, 25,000 to 10,000 for the finalists. Teams ranked 4th through 8th will receive $2,000 to $5,000. In addition, all participating teams on the basis of the Golden League, so basically everybody in the Major League, will receive a fixed amount from $1,400 to $3,150, depending on their final position in the league table. Participants of the offline finals will have paid travel and accommodations in the city of the final games. So this is right off the Wargaming League website. Um, and I'm thinking, I mean, the way they're having it set up with this Wargaming League being for every single region, I think that's exactly what's going to end up having here. What do you guys think? Let's go ahead and start out, David.
Uh, realistically, we're in the first season, and I think after the first season, we're going to see it take off a whole lot more. Um, Americans aren't super into World of Tanks yet, if everything is produced correctly and displayed correctly, or really they just see the numbers, then I think everything's going to take off very quickly.
Yeah. Do you think that's something realistic that we'll be seeing here? I mean, those prize pools look pretty good. I saw another quote, which I don't have handy right now from the Russian side, where it was talking about at the end of this league, we're also going to have like a big international finals like what they have at Eurosteel, and they're talking about I want to say a $500,000 for first prize pool. Is that right, Soviet? We were talking about this
Yeah,
before.
that's something. It's unofficial, but it's been said a couple times that the prize pool for the grand final at the end of uh, 2014, I think February. I'm sorry, the beginning of 2014, at the end of all the seasons, is going to be something astronomical in terms of it hasn't been done before in World of Tanks. So that's that figure 500,000 or up there has been mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, this seems like it's going to be a huge year. With all of this esports coming on, lots of cash on the table for all these tournament teams, and this should be pretty exciting for all the new tournament teams that are coming up. I mean, we have like River Blood. We just had Fusion Gaming start up. I'm not sure what they're going to end up changing their name to or whatever, but I mean, we have a lot of these really big new teams, and for North America, I mean, you're right on the very beginning of esports starting up here. I mean, that's pretty big. I think people should be pretty excited about all this. And hopefully we can start getting more information flowing from Wargaming North America to start really building that buzz. I mean, that's been probably one of the biggest downfalls, don't you think? Just a
Yeah,
lot.
I think we could definitely use a little bit more advertising and kind of playing up people who win, even the basic tournaments, for fun or whatnot. You got to start kind of building excitement about it somewhere, and that's really the best place to do it.
Yeah.
It's the only place it's available right now, right? But once the league starts, I wouldn't be surprised if they start really kind of picking up how much they advertise the esports side of it and promote players and teams.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's go ahead and move off of tournaments now, which is all very exciting and probably the best thing out there that at least I'm excited about. And let's just go look into the patches a little bit. I don't want to touch too long on some of these topics that I have here, but first of all, just like a to get your ideas on how these are. We have the 8.4 British TDs have been out for what, like 3 4 weeks now, something like that. Oh my God, there's somebody behind you. Um, like 3 to 4 weeks now. We have the big tier 10 TD. Do you think we're gonna see anything of that in like Clan Wars? I don't think we're gonna see anything in tournaments or anything. But what are your thoughts on what is it, the F15B or something like that? Go ahead and start, David.
Talking about the TDs,
Yeah, yeah, the TDs,
really I haven't looked at them too much, but I have heard a whole lot of noise about the tortoise and how it's overpowered and whatnot. Um,
which I have a picture
Really
of.
though,
Yeah,
I just don't pay too much attention to TDs because they're TDs. I mean,
there's the
who,
tortoise for
who
you.
cares?
It's powerful.
Unless it's got a turret, it's not really all that viable. And if you use it in a tournament, it's just kind of a gimmick.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, in limited numbers. So I'm really hoping that we'll get back to seeing more heavy tanks coming out again. It seems like we need to balance more that way. Um, just jumping over to the next thing that we have had some information on the 8.5. We're gonna have the German medium line. We're gonna have the Leopard 1 coming out, which I've got some pictures of here for people that haven't seen. I stole these from Reddit entirely. But I mean, it looks like a really cool tank, and I'm sure it's like crazy accurate and catches fire if like a butterfly stands on it. Um, what do you guys think about, like, we've had so many new mediums kind of like influxed in. It feels like we need to have more like more balancing back to like the differences between heavies. Like I always feel like mediums and light tanks should be more like support to the heavy rolls, so it makes more interesting. Like Clan Wars feels like it's just who's fast. I mean, and we're kind of losing that with all these mediums kind of being in flux and everything. What do you think, David, as the Forge commander having to do this
Well,
stuff?
ultimately, power creep is in the game. We all know it, right? So tanks are getting faster, they're higher penetration, higher rate of fire, more accurate, and everything. So um, that kind of mirrors what happened in real life with tanks as well. They cut down on the gigantic size of tanks and moved into something that was later called main battle tanks, which are like basically overpowered mediums, which is kind of what we're doing in the game right now. Um, so I think they're focusing on that to kind of speed up the game, get away from a lot of the camping and the overpowered artillery stuff, where people would drive around the corner and get hit by three artillery. But if they're not moving very quickly, there's nothing they can do about it. Um, so I think this is just setting up to make a transition later. Maybe they're going to beef up heavy tanks or make them faster or something. I'm not really sure, but uh, you're definitely right that they're focusing on mediums and lights at the moment.
Yeah. Um, do you have any Soviet? You're pointing at yourself. Do you have a comment on
I
that? Are
Sure,
you
sure.
here? Okay.
I am. I'm,
Okay. Okay.
enjoying myself. So I think it's an experiment that's gonna show whether this game can be sped up and by introducing medium tanks, powerful one-shottable, TDs that can one-shot. I'm sorry, one-shot tanks, and it's an experiment. And I think it's great that they're doing it with higher tiers because doing it to what we do in tournaments at tier 8 and whatnot would upset that balance that we have right now for tournaments and potentially break the whole notion of esports for World of Tanks. It's going to be interesting how it goes. I'm not, predictions at this point in time. We'll see because we don't even have these tanks yet. We have the TDs, but we haven't seen how they will hit the live server yet. So I'll reserve my judgment on that until they hit the server.
Yeah, we'll definitely go over a little bit more when the actual 8.5 patch is at least in test, and we can drive it around and see how often we catch on fire, as with all German tanks. Um, so just a couple other things that popped up. We had a note from Wargaming where they were discussing some changes to fire extinguishers, specifically the silver one, where they're going to make it so it's not clickable anymore. It's just 5 seconds pass and your silver fire extinguisher goes off. What do you think of that change? Go and start out with Soviet this time, since David looks like he's ready to talk.
Great, great. Thank you. Spasiba. So, I think that it's the right choice, change as well, because from what I heard, and this is something that came from one of our Russian viewers, they said that there was a script apparently that would trigger the fire extinguisher automatically in the game if you had a silver one. So you would have one tick of fire, and bam, it's automatically triggered. I think that was a huge unfair thing to use, and introducing this change will fix that. Will fix any sort of abuse with the fire system, and also put the real incentive on buying gold extinguishers. Running gold extinguishers is really worth it. The benefits you get out of it are just tremendous, and even before going into the tournaments, before having good clan war presence, I was running gold extinguishers in this game.
What do you think, David?
Yeah, I think that unless they make gold consumables purchasable for credits, that it is a mistake, personally. Um, it's not impossible for somebody to press a fire extinguisher in one tick manually, just because they wrote a script that does it. I would say rather than, put a band-aid over something that needs stitches, maybe figure out how that code works and remove that data from the mods so that it just doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
Instead, everybody who's using silver fire extinguishers right now is getting punished. I could easily press the fire extinguisher button in 5 seconds. And the fact that you have to burn that long is pretty lame.
Yeah, that's a
Um,
that's a lot of damage, and I mean, 5 seconds of ticks. That's going to be a lot of modules broken too. That you're going to be kind of screwed out of. Um, as anybody that's caught on fire knows, it goes pretty fast. Um,
But perhaps something that will balance out eventually. 5 seconds may be indeed an extreme, but what do you think about if they did 3 seconds?
mm, I
it's
I'd honestly be more in favor of it staying as a manual option, like the other parts, and then fixing because oh, first of all, let me make this comment that they actually did make a comment in there that it's not going to come out until premium consumables are going to be purchasable by credits. They haven't talked about like the actual amounts yet, but we aren't going to see it until the credits hit for premium consumables. So we at least know that's coming now because they've said that. Um, but I think they need they've got this push right now to take mods and just say these are bannable mods instead of fixing the game specifically so that you can't use those mods. It's kind of like playing DayZ and a hacker jumps on your server and you're like, no, you can't hack. Well, how about you just make it so they can't hack? not that you can do that specifically with DayZ, but that seems like that should be the way the game should go with it. Um, what do you think about them, like specifically changing game mechanics in that way, or just banning stuff versus changing the game, like fixing the game so you can't do those things? Either of you have any thoughts on that?
I've seen them a lot of the mod files myself, and it's not a hard thing to do. I mean, you don't want bush mods? Well, there's a specific folder and specific files that house that. So all you have to do is make the game detect whether those files have been changed, or if there's any files present in res mods in those locations, and then just say no. It, just making it a rule is ridiculous, or making some sort of punk buster that detects it on a random basis. Just make the game not launch if you edit those files. It's not hard.
Yeah.
Um, but who knows exactly how they're going to handle it? That's kind of making an assumption because I've heard it's punk buster-esque, but I don't actually know that for certain.
Hmm. All right. Well, let's go ahead and move off of that. There was one other
You don't
thing
want the
that
Soviets answer?
no.
I see how it is.
Yeah.
Soviet, do you have an answer too? You don't
I
wanna look
do
at-
have an answer, but you know what, Relics?
Other than your silky smooth face that somebody
Oh.
just made a comment about.
Well, anyway, I think it has to be a fine balance between allowing mods that are graphical. Lots of mods that have that are out there are great in terms of what the community has come up with in terms of improving the graphical user interface. And that's actually, I mean. I was running a vanilla client, and then David gave me some things that made it easier for me to stream, to talk about the battles, the post-battle reports, better statistics. All these things I think are great. But then there's mods that cross lines, and I think in order to be more, in order to ban, instead of banning them, just completely. Preventing them either by game mechanics or by like David was talking about restricting the ability to do it through the game files. I think is the way to go for certain mods.
Yeah, I think don't they need to go the same way that World of Warcraft did, where their community just makes crap tons of mods for them, and then they just steal them and say, "Hey, this is a part of the game now. I hope you like it." I mean, you get like Jimbo's or Dar, like things that just are quality of life for the game. They should probably just start stealing that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, on the topic of DAR, like you're saying, one of the most important parts about that, time to target, I can understand maybe that's a little too overpowered, makes artillery too easy on something that's pretty already powerful. But stuff like traverse indicator, you know exactly how far you've traversed. Well, in a real artillery, there's actually something that shows you that. And there's a lot of stuff like that that I think is missing. And like you were saying, if they just take the mods from the community and incorporate them and say, hey, Jimbo, that's a sweet reticle you have, and I know a lot of the user base uses it, here's 200,000 gold.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he would say yes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's so much out there that they could just take from that. I mean, there's really good stuff out there that would make this game a lot better, a lot easier for newer players. Even like something as simple as a timer for like how long it is between shots, I think would help out a newer player so much so they understand that mechanic so much more, and can like physically see, okay, I got my crew up to 100% now. I can see that I'm firing a second faster on this tank. Awesome. Like I can see the improvements specifically in stats, and I think that's a pretty big thing. So maybe we'll see some of that stuff. We'll keep bugging the Wargaming North America people for it. So jumping over to something that we really don't have to talk too long, but that I am super excited about. This is a note from Muggsy on the forums. He dropped some patch information. So we have destroyed tanks no longer absorb HE damage. HE shells explode on the surface of destroyed tanks now. Ka-ching! Like that was always such a big pain in the butt with artillery when you get a shell out there, you're like, oh, I'm gonna just use it as a back, like a wall, and just splash off and do damage. And it rarely works or rarely does nearly as much damage. I mean, I'm really looking forward to at least that change, considering all the big nerfs they had to artillery. Yeah, so nothing we really need to talk about that. Just my excitement, just my excitement over it. Unless you guys have a comment on it. I'm just excited.
So now when Relics accidentally hits a dead wreck, he's not gonna have an excuse of, oh, the game is, cheating me out. Okay, Relics. Well,
Sorry guys, that one was
make your
absorbed.
shots. Make your
Make your
shot.
shots. I hate you. Let's go ahead and move off of patches at this point, and talk a little bit about Clan Wars. The main thing I want to talk about, we had the Rise of Americas event, which is over for now. We have North America out now. Um, I don't want to talk about like the issues that Rise of Americas had because that's all technical issues, which wasn't really any of Wargaming North America's problems, but and it was a pain and all the downtime with CW. But the main thing I want to talk about of the Rise of Americas thing is the idea of Wargaming injecting special events into Clan Wars, and whether that's a good thing. We've had like RU had Atlantis open up, I think it was, where they just like raised an island and said, "Hey, go at it," and they had special rewards and stuff like that. What do you think about Wargaming actively making special content for Clan Wars like that, like Rise of Americas? Go ahead and start out, David. Talk.
Um, I think it's kind of a hard topic to talk about. I think a lot of the user base likes it. I think it also, as clearly shown, kind of provides an avenue for a lot of people to get angsty, a lot of conflict and whatnot, which is kind of what Clan Wars is all about. Um, I think if it went off without any technical issues, it would have been much more well received. But the technical issues then had redos, which just kind of compounded the issues of people abusing, diplomacy or all the other factors. I don't know. What do you think about
It,
it,
it
Sophie?
basically like overshadowed the idea. Go ahead, Soviet.
I agree that this it opens up a lot of room for debate and for error really if we're going to be blunt about it. But I would rather they would concentrate on esports events, tournaments, skirmishes that are going on right now on the U.S. server. I think that should be promoted more. Maybe like for example, North American map and all, we get medals and stuff for North American landing and whatnot. Make it more, make tournaments, in my opinion, skirmishes, challenges, more like that. Keep Clan Wars there as it is, without any special events, uh, and concentrate on that, on promoting offshoot tournaments, because that's what it really is, right? But we're starting to use map now. We're starting to use territories, politics that are involved with that. That all is not in the tournament scene at all. Politics, all that stuff is just out the door, and it's able to stay clean from away from all the drama, in my opinion.
I mean,
Yeah.
they're very different things in general, right? I mean, tournaments, it's just clean competition. There's no cheating, there's no collusion. I mean, ideally, and there's nothing that detracts from the point of finding out who's better. When you get into clan wars, the whole point is for it to be a war simulator, which means that there are no rules. Espionage is a part of war. Diplomacy is a part of war. All these things, um, I find them really interesting, and I know a lot of other people do. But uh, as Fuse just said, Nagatron likes his farm. I do like farms. Free gold is fun, but I also
Moo.
like a proper war. Um, those are just quite often few and far between because Clan Wars is a very difficult thing. It's a difficult game. Um, but yeah, very separate and different demographics there.
Well, let's segue off of that discussion to one of Overlord's posts that he put up, which is actually specifically about Endgame. Let me go ahead and bring up the quote here, and this will kind of go well into it. Um, so Overlord says, "Do you get a feeling of completing the entire game after you have grinded a particular tank line up to tier 10? What's your personal end game at this stage in the world of tanks, and what kind of content would you like to see in the game that would keep old and experienced players even more addicted?" So I mean, kind of going off of that. So Soviet, it sounds like for you, your end game is tournaments.
Yes.
Tournaments is the be all end all for you.
Well, I mean, yes and no. Clan Wars is still the end game in this game. Nothing has changed in that regard. Teams that clans that are bored, let's say, they're not, bound by any rules or anything. They can let's remember, the MLP days. They would just, have like a company detached, right, and start like a little campaign somewhere else on the map, have a challenge there. Nothing has changed since then, right? So if some clan wants a challenge and wants to keep going and have that reputation, nothing is holding them back. Now, as far as me, personally, that level is a step below the tournament level, and we're seeing this right now promoted by Wargaming, which is a great move. Having money on the line, having that bragging rights really as well on the line. Is going to be a huge incentive for older players that already think that they are the best this game has seen to actually prove themselves. So, if you feel that you reach the end game, start playing tournaments.
Do you have kind of the same feeling, David, that tournaments is kind of, tournaments, then clan wars, then all your other standard NPCs and all that stuff below? Is tournaments kind of like the big end game?
If you find out if your goal is to find out who is the absolute best at playing the game, strategy and tactics wise, then yeah, tournaments are really the ultimate end game there. That's where you want to go. If you're out there to have fun in like a large scale war simulator, like I said before, then Clan Wars is where it's at. And I can see a lot of changes going into Clan Wars in the future. I don't know if they're going to or not, but I can see a lot of room for improvement there that would really make it, a proper war simulator. But then after that, maybe tank companies. No, I'd probably rank tank companies below platoons, honestly, just because the vast majority of tank company is not competitive.
Yeah, definitely needs some changes. um, so leading off of that, I mean, what would you like to see as additional in game that kind of keeps you playing? Because I mean, right now, at least for myself, I mean, I play in tournaments and then I stream with Soviet every now and again for tanks. But I mean, there's nothing really, yeah. But I mean, there's nothing really else that just makes me want to sit around and play it all the time. I mean, what do you think would be good content for them to add for in game, or maybe even not in game, something to just keep you wanting to play?
So
What,
you
what's
want to
your
start off?
what's your one big one? Yeah, we'll simplify it down to your single idea of what you would like added to the game to keep you playing. Soviet Go.
Wow. Well, I've developed 300 games in my past. My resume is filled with lots of successful projects, Minesweeper, Solitaire.
Minesweeper
But
Pro.
yeah, 3D pinball. Anyways, I, to be honest, it's hard for me to say because I don't think I've reached the end game myself because of tournaments. But since if we're to say hypothetically that once you reach your, let's say, tier 10, what do you do next? Um, I think game modes is going to be a good one. I think Encounter and Assault is not meeting the expectations of a lot of players, and PvE. I think PvE is going to be a good introduction to this game. If there was something that was a third, not PvP, but artificial intelligence or something that keeps it more entertaining, keeps people playing. I think that's what brings a lot of players to other games back is the ability to just hop in and play and not worry about, oh my God, I'm playing against a player and I just haven't played this game in so long. Uh, that's my opinion.
Yeah, I know. Like me and Nagatron used to play some Battlefields, and the Battlefield 3 recently here, and they have this really great scenario where you're in a helicopter and you fly into a valley and you just have like all these NPCs coming out and shooting at you and you have to take them all out. Like something like that, I think would be just absolutely perfect for this game, and it's something that people could repeat. And like you said, like the newer players that come in, I mean that's something that'll keep them playing. Especially if it's a way that they can earn credits or experience towards those newer tanks that make those more fun. So I think you're definitely on with that. What's your big one, David? What's your thoughts?
Mine too are really
Share.
revamping Clan Wars and PvE, like you guys are talking about. I think PvE is probably the most important one, especially for the North American market. And I hate PvP or PvE. I hated raiding in WoW and all these other things, right? But at the same time, the idea of doing like a historical based mission where I have to take like an easy aid or some kind of Sherman. I'm not a tank history expert. Get Evan B in here, and then go take down like a tiger or something like that. Right now, that I actually would like to do to break up kind of the monotony of just pub matches day in and day out. Um, but just kind of changing everything up would be real good there. And then, since you guys already covered that one, Clan Wars. There's a lot of different things you could do to Clan Wars to really revamp it. And I think it's necessary to change it in a way that makes it more competitive in order to break up the camping. Right now, the main reason we camp, the main reason people camp on gold in general, is not for the free gold. The amount of time you spend doing it is so much that you could buy 20,000 gold for yourself and break even time wise, at the very least. I mean, the amount of just, it's a pitifully low pay scale doing that. Now, if you make it fun, if you change it so that you're not doing the same thing day in and day out, you play in different areas of the map and it's a different style of tactic or whatnot by, natural terrain barriers or just adding in production centers and those kinds of things. It'd be very, very deep conversation there. Then I think everybody will play more often. Um,
Making more Axis and allies versus Risk.
right, exactly. Really, the point is to find out who's best and to increase competition and to make the whole strategy of the end game fun. Now, the way it is right now, there is no way to take on the world and succeed, which means you have to be a diplomat. You can't just go on by yourself. Legion right now is probably the closest example. They've got like 8 clans, but that's still not by yourself. That's a bunch of different clans together. Now, if you were able to revamp everything so that one really good clan could make the payout by themselves and have fun, then I think people would be a lot less likely to ally, which would stimulate everything and provide a proper end game. And if
Yeah.
you combine that with PvE, then you have a pretty cool looking game, in my opinion.
Yeah. So kind of going off of that, we had some more information come out about the. So they have 3 new tanks that are supposed to be slated to come out. This is all kind of tied into Clan Wars and Endgame. They had the VK 7201, the M60, and the Object 907. And we've heard some discussion about this before, but they're talking about using those in unusual ways of being awarded. There was actually a comment from Overlord saying we're thinking towards content that can be unlocked in CWs. What do you think about like having awards, like special awards, like new tanks and stuff like that, unlocked through Clan Wars or even achievements or anything like gaining so many badges and stuff like that?
Let me go.
You do it.
I'll
You.
do it. I say no to that. Once again, tournaments make it away from take it away from that. Because once again, Clan Wars, uh, some achievement goes up, some tanks, something, some exclusive award. Uh, there's going to be the same story as we unfortunately saw with North American map. Oh my God, power clans, all this stuff on the forums. So I think in order to stay away from that, go equal the level out the playing field and go to the tournaments.
What do you think if like the method of getting it was something that was more accessible? Do you think it would just like detract from it being a reward, or something like your clan takes 1,000 territories or something like that? Something that requires you to actively do something. Do you think that's still
No,
something that?
but as long as it's not like if it's something that can be, yeah, sure. Introduce something that can be easily achieved on the map and that's not exclusive. It's not like a one-time off thing. Like I think what we saw in North America map with the medals, for example, one time off. Uh, Team goes in, gets the territory, and then everybody else is out of luck. If it's something that can be repeated or something that's cyclical, sure. But once again, if it's something that's just once off and that's it, it's going to introduce, I think, a lot of gripe into the community.
Yeah. What do you think, David?
Well,
Nagatron.
Laps in Chat is actually dropping a whole lot of the ideas that I was thinking in that regard. He even came up with a cool one. On top of that, he was suggesting, maybe you have like kill markers for either how many wins you have in Clan Wars, you personally, or how many kills you have in Clan Wars, things like that. I personally would rather it be wins because God knows we don't need people like vying for kills in Clan Wars. Um,
I need my achievement.
but stuff like camo, special emblems, things like that. That's really where it's at. But adding like special consumables or equipment or tanks is an awful idea. We will all collude to make sure that we get it, so that we maintain an advantage over everybody else, and it will just increase the rage. But if you could drive around in a style and new camo, then absolutely.
Yeah.
Um,
So it's more like cosmetic things seems to be like probably the best rewards for everybody. Something you can show off and say, "Hey, look, I have 2,000 kills in Clan War. Here's my camo."
yeah, it's
Something
like
like that.
Whiskey Dot said in chat a minute ago. Hats. Like TF2 use hats, right?
Yeah.
How many people paid how many dollars for hats? I mean, you're not just interested in collecting tanks. It's like I want to be different. I don't want to just be a mouse. I want to be a mouse with like a bow tie.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. That kind of goes back to our dark days at World of Warcraft, where you do achievements for pets and stuff like that, like the stupid vanity stuff you can get. People just eat that up, and I think that actually might be back to Endgame and like feeding people wanting to play to get certain things. Like you get all these mastery badges on all of these. You got a problem, Soviet? Um, you've got all these mastery badges and everything. Like make them something that you can get a tangible reward out of, and people will just continually play for it. So yeah.
You know what? Introduce more detailed stats into the game so people can stat whore more, and leave it at that. Jesus, I mean, I guess I don't know. Maybe I'm not completely at all interested in just this hats or kill marks on my tank. It's just really. So yeah,
It's
that's
okay.
my
You're Russian. We get it. We get it.
yes, yes. Make make
We
make
we
drawing
here
on
in
my tank.
we
Go away.
Americans like
Go
stuff.
away.
Stuff is good. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go ahead and get off of the in-game topic here. I have a couple more things left, and we're almost at our hour. So the other big Overlord thing that I saw that was kind of interesting. Um, let me go ahead and put it up here. So this is about SPGs, artillery. This is from Overlord again. So, pondering over the recent balancing adjustments and the way we've screwed up SPGs so badly, yes, you did. I have come to the idea of why not enable TD Sniper more for I assume it means TD Sniper mode for SPGs. Indeed, many of the SPGs in real life had optics that allowed to fire directly, and after the change or the matchmaker change with a semi-hard cap for SPGs, TD mode has become even more difficult to use. In the light of the upcoming expansion of SPG lines to Tier 10, this might be a nice change, making the game a little less arcadish, if you know what I mean. Imagine multiple SPGs driving here and there in TD mode. What? What do you guys think about that? Like having SPGs. I mean, at that point, you're basically turning an SPG into a TD if you take away arcade mode. What do you think about that? You want to tackle this one first, David?
GD says April Fools. Please God.
I hope
Please
that's
God.
April Fool's. It better be.
I mean,
This is from like 2 weeks ago that I pulled this from, by the way.
stop babying artillery. That's what I have to say. The things are already like the queen of RNG. I mean, sometimes you do 400 damage, sometimes the tank dies. That's not really good for competition. I'm sure it's fun for a lot of people. Hell, I know I love it when I one-shot somebody with artillery. But a little bit more consistency would be nice to me. But as far as the optics go, I mean, you could direct fire somebody anyways. Why do you need to make it easier?
Yeah.
If they do that, all artillery needs to be one-shottable. One-shottable to basically any tank. It's a carriage chock full of troops and ammunition. If they're going to go realism way, if the thing needs to explode or become inoperable the instant you shoot it.
I agree. I think it is just a troll from Overlord and
I hope so.
or Serb, or was it Serb?
It was Overlord. It was Overlord.
Overlord. Okay, it's such a sensitive topic on the Russian cluster that I mean, any whining here on the U.S. is put to shame on the Russian server, and the amount of crying about already this, already that. I think it's a lot of I have a lot of respect for already players. Not, sorry, Relics, but I think it's already a skill. You have to have a certain skill set. And if you're going to make it, oh, you can go into bird's eye view and now you can go into sniper mode, that's just silly. So
Yeah,
good troll. It's a good troll.
yeah. As an actual arty player, I don't want that mode. I'm happy with arcade mode with the looking on top. I think that's the good way to go. It just needs more balancing, like maybe like lowering damage, increasing frequency of shots, something that's makes it more interesting and less um, derpy one shot. I guess is what I'm going for there. But yeah, that whole comment was very awkward. It's like don't touch my SPGs. Just leave them alone. Leave Brittany alone.
Sensitive topic for relics. So.
All right, so wow, we got 5 minutes left to the hour. I have one more thing that came up that I think is pretty cool, um, especially like for traveling and when you're reading in the bathroom and you're like, oh, I just want to play some tanks and I'm waiting, and instead of going on the forums with my smartphone, I can now go play Watt Blitz. So they have the announced, it's like a 7v7 for Android and iOS, and they're gonna have, it's basically World of Tanks. It's less tanks. What do you guys think of it? Basically transforming World of Tanks into a small iOS or Android app. You're gonna get it, aren't you? Either of you?
I don't play any cell phone games at all.
What?
So,
You don't play
no.
cell phone games?
Uh, I don't want to play
Soviet, do you
anything
play
with a
Sam?
touchpad interface
What?
myself.
Well,
I'm sure there's plenty
as,
of people who play it though. It's a
Yeah.
big market.
Yeah.
as you've seen, I'm a pro player at FIFA on my iPad, so I'll stick to that. And tanks is I think
You're not gonna go
I think it's
pro
gonna
on
be
Watt Blitz?
it's going to be a great marketing tool. It's going to hopefully bring more players into the actual world of tanks. Because no matter how you port it, no matter how well of a job you do, uh, at the moment, at the moment in time in our development of mobile platforms, it's still not going to be uh, up there to challenge, World of Tanks or to really showcase what World of Tanks is all about. And I'm skeptical about the 7 versus 7. My experiences with mobile devices and multiplayer were pretty bad. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see. But
Yeah, that's a
great
very
marketing.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point on the marketing side of it, because I didn't even think about that. How many people like just search for stuff on their Android or their phone so they can sit around playing? Like, I mean, that's millions of people sit around playing crap like Dungelot and what's the one with the birds? I can't remember, with the slingshot. Somebody.
Let's not bring that one up.
Okay.
It depresses me.
Angry Birds. Angry Birds. Yeah, there we
Oh
go.
my God.
You mean those people that copied something that had already been done 1,000 times and
It,
somehow
it's all
made a
copies.
stupid amount of money off of it?
It's all copies. But yeah, that's very interesting. Like, people will probably pick that up. I mean, that's kind of big, and then that leads them into like looking at World of Tanks and everything the way they have it advertised. That actually ends up being a pretty smart way to do it. So, huh. Very cool. Well, that's everything I had to talk about today. Specific with subjects. We'll try to cover more stuff next week. Let's do questions. I actually have a few from the forums, and we'll throw these at you guys since we have like 3 or 4 minutes. We got a little bit to run questions, right? Before.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I already told people to hold them and wait to the end.
All right. Cool. So just to tackle the forum, so I can get it out of the way.
Well, you has forum question, yes?
Duh, duh, duh. All right. This is from Crab Eat Off. Delicious crab. What is your experience and opinion on shell distribution within the aiming reticle? How does your experience and mental model influence your aiming strategies? Which one do you want to take that? Soviets?
Sure, I'll take it. It's the whole RNG topic, sensitive topic, I think, for us, especially since we're exposed to it in tournaments and competitive play. Having, as as a pro player, I guess you want to be the best at what you do, right? That's the whole pro prefix that you want to earn. And in order for that to happen, you need to be able to properly train and predict and perfect your skill. With RNG, a lot of that is taken away from you. And of course, there's a whole argument about how much you need to take away from it. How much does it have to be probability based, how much random and whatnot. Um, I think that's a sensitive subject, and I think that in World of Tanks at this point in time, it is too much and needs to be lowered. And I believe, I mean, we spoke about this on our team a lot, and this is, I'm sure David can go on about this for an hour or so, but that's my opinion.
Yeah, I think kind of going along with that, like my specific opinion on it with the dispersion. The dispersion itself doesn't actually bother me too much. It kind of reminds me of like back in the Counter Strike days where you had like the AK and certain guns and stuff like that. And the more you fired them, the more you knew like this specific gun, it always drops off more to the bottom, or it always drops off more to the left. Like there's some predictability to where it's going to go and how the distance you're going to shooting. And I think the bigger issue that we have above that, I mean, that's just us getting experience, and then we get better at shooting that specific gun, knowing where it's going to place. The bigger issue is the randomization of penetration and damage, because right now it's at the 25% plus or minus, and that gets to be too much, I think. And that's more something that we can't overcome at all. I mean, there really is no way we can overcome it. It's just hope that it lands. Let's go ahead. Did you have any comments you wanted to put in there, David? Or did that cover it all?
About RNG?
Yeah. Well,
We
this
don't
was
want to go down that
specifically
path.
about dispersion.
No, I'm
Okay,
just
okay.
kidding. Well, in reference to dispersion, it's really frustrating when a gun just won't shoot straight. But I think that ties into RNG, like we were saying. Plus and minus 25% is pretty ridiculous. Maybe plus or minus 10. The smaller the better, in my opinion, although there does get to a point where it's too small.
There needs to be some randomization in there for. I mean, random makes it interesting, but too random makes it not competitive. I guess is the best way to put it. Yeah. Let's go to the next question. I've got three questions from Crab Eat Off, and then we'll start tackling the people in the thing. Um, so your team uses teamwork in pubs. Is that stat padding? First of all, but more seriously, Relics uses SPG's view for overhead into. Is that the rest of it? Not a question. What other team play strategies do you use to gain a local advantage and roll up the win? So he's talking about when I'm in SPG, I usually call out like uh, there's fence breaking on E4, and that means there's a tank that's passing there. That's a really common, really important strategy for your artillery to do. I don't know what kind of other strategies you guys use in your platoons to kind of pull out those wins. Mr. Soviet, the platoon master.
Oh,
Any top secrets you want to share?
David.
Please summarize the entirety of gaming in one sentence for us.
Yeah, that's
This is like
I mean,
this is like a
what
tip
strategy do
section.
you use in a platoon to win?
well,
Another tactic
fine.
like staying
Teamwork.
together.
I mean, where do you want to go with that?
Well,
Staying together with at least two or three players is pretty important. Um, but realistically, platooning is all just about like situational awareness, as in all gaming. You got to look and see what's going on, and if you're winning on one side of the map, but the other side falls, you're still going to lose. So you got to pay attention, and you got to support the team, the whole team, no matter where it is. You can't just play as one platoon and win everything.
I I want to just add a little bit to that is something that we've been doing on the stream is talking about how we're checking uh, how we're deciding where to go based on what we see from the enemy team, based on the map that we're playing, talking about the bottlenecks, talking about the advantages of certain tanks. So it really all comes from playing the game for so long and knowing the maps and knowing how to perform in certain situations. In terms of how to cooperate, David put it pretty much right on point. Situational awareness, kind of always supporting each other. Don't split off. In fact, if you're watching our stream earlier today, the two losses that we've had with Jackie and Absolute were when we split off, when we weren't able to be there for for support. One tank gets tracked or one tank gets high rolled, for example. Once again, RNG, and all of a sudden you're out of position and you cannot help your platoon mate. So I think that combination what makes platooning and winning consistently successful.
Cool. So let's move on to his last question, and then we'll start taking some people from the audience here. No one ever shoots Hugo Maximus. Is he invisible?
If you ever find out why,
Puppy
please tell
luck?
me.
Puppy luck? Is that what we're just gonna go
Hugo and
with?
Soviet, man. Like I'm sitting there, I'm barely around a corner. Everybody's shooting me. They're all the way in the middle of the field, and they're like, "No, no, we'll get those guys later." Like Hugo has better stats. Shoot him.
Mm-hmm. Hugo and Soviet have the "don't shoot me" puppy luck, and then I have the "I'm gonna shoot everything in the most random way" puppy luck. But it all comes
Well,
down to puppy luck.
it's interesting because I mean I think a lot of players will go for targets that are more in their standard positions, and if you like, I think Hugo, having played with him, it's like um, he puts himself in rather odd positions that people don't expect, and I think they just never notice him there. So that's my opinion.
All right, let's take some questions from here. We'll go for what do you think? Another how long do you think?
One 1 thing.
$5? Oh, go ahead.
One thing,
Go ahead.
it's the gladiator helmet on the side of Hugo's tanks. That's, I think, has something to do with it.
Everybody's scared of it.
So, yeah, I mean, they see that and they're like, "Ah, this guy is, yeah, he likes gladiators."
All right. Well, we can probably go for another 5 minutes. You guys okay with 5 more minutes? Just
Sure,
ask
sure.
questions. All right. So go ahead and ask questions, and we'll throw it up to people in the chat.
Okay, so question for me, Soviet, what's your in-life job? I'm a IT director. I do lots of IT stuff, websites, project management, stuff like that.
War Thunder versus Wargaming games. I actually played quite a bit of War Thunder. I I don't know. I still like tanks better. Like I like the concept of War Thunder, but the interface and everything just didn't really do it for me yet. I mean, it's still in beta, so who knows where that's going to end up. But Wargaming games thus far. T-57 nerf. No, please.
I
No.
I think if you're just new to the game, I think you'll see this trend developing over time. But every time there's a new tank in the game, it's definitely going to be a sweet tank. Eventually, though, you'll see that it will get nerfed. It's just the nature of the beast.
Eclipse 40 CW in 45 seconds. Yes, there'll be more coming out. I am crazy busy because we mentioned earlier that we're doing the NVIDIA thing, so I'm doing a lot of artwork trying to get that prepared to get you guys some really nice looking casted videos. So I will be doing more CW 45. I've got some ideas. Can't tell you exactly when.
Rory's just asked me about Hugo Maximus. Actually, I didn't mean that. I haven't played with him. I have played with him. I think that's what the point I was trying to make. So, we play with Hugo quite a lot, actually, on the streams. You can see us here on this channel. We try to stream daily lately. So, if you haven't seen it yet, I think I've seen you before, Rory, so on our chat. So, we do that a lot. You can see what Hugo does. I can die a couple times and just put the camera on Hugo, and you'll see what he does. Uh, but yeah, I mean, it's those things that I said. I think they're true. The unorthodox positions, unusual positions, and sometimes he's just too aggressive, and aggressiveness wins. Aggressiveness in this game is the key, in my opinion. It's a tank. It's meant to be shot at, and it's meant to shoot red things.
Here's a good question from a really loud person, Forge Barroom. He says, "What do you think it's going to take to advance North American esports? Overseas, it's huge, What does North America need to capture America's attention with esports?
Money,
Ooh. Money?
lots and
Coverage.
lots of money.
Yeah.
I
Coverage would work a lot.
I think I think right now it's a critical point for North America is the money's already there. Right now, I believe there's a bit of an issue with partnering with somebody because in Europe and Russia, it's easy. You have quite established World of Tanks tournaments that already have been doing this. Uh, Clear partners, ready, sign the papers, off they go. Here in the US, we didn't have anything at all, and now we're jumping from literally almost zero to all of a sudden, a pro league. That's a big jump. I really, as a player, hope that it's going to go through smoothly, and we'll, after the first season, the rest of the United States will be raving about World of Tanks because I think it's better than any other esport game out there right now.
Yeah, and I definitely think as the production of the esports come up, like the casting gets better, the camera, which is super important right now, being able to see the action more appropriately
Yeah.
gets better. I think that's going to make it more interesting for people to watch. We already have like the really big games like StarCraft 2 or Dota. Or League of Legends, they have cameras that are very active and bring right to the action. And then hopefully, as World of Tanks kind of grows in esports, they'll be looking at doing that more. And I think that'll start to make it more interesting for people, which will then start to build up the North American esports scene a lot better. Let's grab another question here. Here's a good question from GeForcer. What do you think about how gameplay in tourneys and CWs has changed with the increase in autoloaders? Good or bad? David, you want to grab that one?
Um, Overall, I think it's good. It allows you to play a little bit faster. Previously, digging out a camp required repositioning artillery and stuff like that. Autoloaders brought a whole new answer to that. Big alpha guns and autoloaders. Uh, and I think if you had to choose between the two, like if we were going to roll out a whole lot of T-30 kind of tanks again, or go with autoloaders, I think the autoloaders are more fair because those of us who were around for the T-30s remember you really just drove around a corner and killed like three tanks all at once, and whoever shot first basically won the game. Um, but I think it's changed everything for the better. I think other tanks have had a negative impact. I mean, uh, some of the tier 10 mediums and TDs, I think, shouldn't have been added in the way they were.
Yeah.
I I want to add to that is that it introduced dynamics to the game. It's more, the burst damage, and all of a sudden you have to count your shots, you have to make them, and you have to be very, clear with your strategies and tactics. But also, I think that autoloaders are the most skill-intensive tanks as well. You can't afford missing shots. You can't afford reloading prematurely. Let's say you can't. You have to always keep track of what's going on. How many shots have your enemy shot? Have your autoloader shot? I think that introduced a whole new skill level, and it's definitely autoloaders are great. I think the use of them, as long as it's in certain, you can't just go full autoloaders and win, obviously, because the team that once you start reloading, that's it. But if they go through you, well, you have to have proper tactics to counter that.
Yep. All right, so we'll do one more question, and then we'll close it down here in a second. And that question is going to be. Do, 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 do. This is a pretty good question. Again, tournament related. So tell us your view on the Elo system. Is it a success? Is it just a matter of spamming the tournaments?
Um, I'll start that one off. For what they intended to be, I mean, I guess it's a success. Uh, I don't really see how anything can be rated unless there's a stable platform for it. Like unless we're playing the exact same tournament, the exact same format over and over and over again, then you're not really rating who's best. Some of the challenges and skirmishes, it's like, did you bother to spend the gold to get a new tank? Did you move your crew? Well, then, you got further, so you get a higher elo. Um,
Yeah.
but I think the like a more traditional like ladder system for 742 or whatever tournament we use, I think that's a much better way of going about it.
Yeah, definitely a better show of what the skill is on there. And so hopefully they'll do some transitioning, I think, to using the league as the primary for that, because I think the original intentions of the ELO was to make it for seeding for special events. I can't think of any tournaments recently that had that. The Classic would be a good example of where they used the seeding, I believe, for specific teams.
It
Did
was
they
a
use the
good
Classic?
band-aid.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good in the interim, but it definitely needs to transition to a stable format that is consistent and people can improve and get better at, and then that makes the ELO make a lot more sense. So I would almost bet that we'll see that kind of transitioning that way. All right, so that is it. We're gonna stop questions here. Um, I did want to make a point for Nagatron had brought this up in the last stream, and I'm gonna put this on Facebook because I think it's an awesome idea. Um, we're having a contest. Oh, we're having a contest here for who can make the best fan art of Soviet. Yeah,
He's not supposed to know.
he
What are
already
you
knows.
doing?
He did know. We need to have like an
What?
official post for this. He already knows. He had an idea.
No, I
He was
didn't.
listening. Well,
He didn't read the Facebook.
Well, I want this to be official. Is it on Facebook now?
You're supposed to
He's
do it while
seen
he's
it.
taking a break on the stream.
All right, Soviet, turn this off real quick. Turn this off real quick.
Wow.
All right, all right.
Okay.
Here. Let me
Ah,
show you
it-
an example
It
of this
just
fame
went
art.
to another level. That's it.
Yeah, it's
That's-
on. It's on. All right,
It-
here. Let me see if I can get this going right here. All right, all right. See, this is beautiful. This is amazing Soviet fan art. This is probably the greatest thing that I've ever seen related to Soviet. Definitely better than Soviet himself. So, uh, we're gonna go ahead. He's got the head down. Yeah, yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and put this up on Facebook as an actual post. And I want, like, what do you think? What's today's date? It's the 28th. What do you think? Give it to the 15th. Give it like 2 weeks.
I said
I'm
it would
sorry.
be the end of next month.
It was the end of next month. All right, so we have to the end of next month. I'm sorry for ruining the surprise. I just wanted to get more people to do it because man, we think of all the fan art we can get now when we have like 150 people on the stream. This is gonna be beautiful. So we're gonna give away a month of premium, is what you said, right? We have a
Yes.
free month of premium for the best Soviet fan art. You have all of our VODs where he has beautiful pictures of himself on that you can use for it, and we have like that great example that I just showed. So
Well, now that it's exposed, we might as well just expand it to all any fan art, any
oh, yeah,
Fulcrum team
Fulcrum
member.
fan art. Yeah, okay, yeah, we can just expand it. Even though, the Soviet ones are the best, and that's the one I want to see the most of. Right, Soviet? Right?
Mhm.
Nah, that's a
Lame,
dirty look.
lame relics.
Lame? Blame? Oh, lame or blame, man. Whatever.
Lame relics. Also lame relics.
Also lame relics. All right.
You're bad, and you should feel bad.
All right, so make sure you guys follow us on Facebook at /Fulcrum Gaming. We also have a Twitter account /Fulcrum Gaming as well. And go ahead and follow us on our Twitch channel. There's a button over there. And Soviet, you have something to add?
Yeah, one thing I wanted to make sure, guys, please share your feedback with us on the show, on the forums, so that we know what you liked, what you didn't like, and we can continue making this better. We want to cover cover the game, grow the game, and share our opinion, I guess.
Yeah. Feedback, please. We love it. All of it. Even the bad stuff where you talk bad about Soviet. All right, so
Relics. Wow.
all right, we're gonna go ahead and end it there with my awesome Fulcrum outro here, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode and stream later.